We close today's show with a few reminders. Elections have consequences. When you elect people who will tell you anything you want to hear, just to avoid going to prison, just to appeal to the right wing base, just to appeal to people who have not advanced their education beyond fifth grade, you end up with inevitable consequences that are destructive to the entire nation. Here we are, folks. Despite campaigning on decreasing the price of eggs, Pumpkin Führer Trump and co-president Elon Musk have avoided taking any form of responsibility. First, egg prices are soaring as the direct result of bird flu, which has spread from flock to flock, laying waste to millions of chickens and other avian creatures that never caused anyone any harm. Federal workers by the tens of thousands are walking away from their jobs with the direct intent of bringing on board a legion of Trump sycophants who are as ill-equipped to do their jobs as RFK Jr., Tulsi Gabbard, and Pete Hegseth. Our closest trading partners, Canada and Mexico, are at the rough edge of the tariffs that will hurt U.S. consumers more than Canadians and Mexicans. And they're laughing at and perhaps crying in sympathy with U.S. consumers who never voted for any of this nonsense. The newspapers in both Canada and the European Union are weighing the option of having Canada join the EU rather than work more closely with the USA. If Trump thinks for even a moment that we are simply going to waltz our way across the border and take the natural resources we need, he should think again. Our neighbors to the north are condemning us. Justin Trudeau will remain in his post only until mid-March, at which point he will be walking away from the job, replaced briefly by his colleague before elections determine which political coalition will begin governing Canada. Now, if those newspapers are correct, our neighbors in the north will grow even closer to the EU, and future U.S. presidents will struggle to win them back if we ever do. If all that were not enough, Vladimir Putin is laughing at the United States all the way to Kyiv. Putin's puppet-in-chief may have conned most Republican voters into a false sense of security over Ukraine, but then Neville Chamberlain thought he brought peace in our time in 1938 when he allowed the Nazi government to take over in Austria and the Sudetenland and Czechoslovakia, before ever stepping up to take the threat of Nazi expansion seriously. We should be thinking in similar terms with Russian expansion into Europe. For Pete Hegseth to appear before our NATO allies with less in his head than RFK served his brainworms for breakfast is appalling. Our friends in Ukraine deserve better, as was the policy of several previous U.S. presidential administrations. Vladimir Putin has zero trouble marching his troops deeper and deeper into Ukraine. No peace treaty conditions generated by the Trump administration will be anything more than a surrender of Ukraine's sovereignty and land. If you voted for Trump based solely on his ability to get the price of eggs to drop, you were sadly led astray. You wasted your vote, and you will never get it back. Quite the same can be said for the civil rights of the LGBTQ+ community in the United States, rights for which our radio station and the Pennsylvania Equality Project will continue to fight with or without the GOP. That's the news at this hour. Thanks for listening.